In late 2018, we were commissioned to produce a promotional film for a cross-Atlantic rowing challenge. Two Grandads who had decided that even though they never rowed before, they wanted to do something big, and they wanted to do it before they weren't able to. So they took part in the Talisker Whiskey Challenge. They've actually now completed that, and we're putting out this video to describe a little bit how we went about creating the promo film. Now, in the first instance, when we looked at this project, we put together a couple of ideas of how we wanted things to feel, and the initial thoughts were towards getting a very moody, very gritty vibe for everything. That was a very popular idea. Everyone liked how that would play out if we had it stormy and waves and rain and kind of texture, hands on oars and water. So really playing up the drama of the whole challenge. The difficult part for us was that we had a very narrow window to achieve this, and obviously we had to work around their training schedules, the availability of a support boat, and the vagaries of the weather. So we may not get the weather that we need within a window that would actually work for everyone. So in the event, we decided to lock down a date and just go for it, and we got lovely blue skies and calm waters. To achieve this project and get everything that we needed to within the budget, we actually had to film over just one day. We had a crew of three. That was Ben, Rithika, and myself, and each of us throughout the day had really specific roles that we were going to be fulfilling. To start off with, when we arrived, we scouted the area around the local marina and just found somewhere that we could make the interviews work. It wasn't an ideal position because of the sunlight, and the sun was not too high in the sky, but it also wasn't early morning or anything like that. So we used a big Lastolite frame to diffuse the light coming directly onto them, and that took it down a little bit. We then brought in some negative fill on the left-hand side, just to bring down the overall level, because we had a really clear sky and plenty of bounce coming off the concrete and the water and the grass just up onto them, so we wanted a little bit more definition on the left. And then to cap it off, we got another silver reflector and did something which I don't usually go for, which is putting a very, very hard side light on them. Now that created a much more dramatic look and helps to balance out the fact that we actually took down quite a lot of level, more than I would have liked with the diffusion. So normally when you're looking at how you're setting up an outdoor shot, if you are influencing the light, you probably don't want to diffuse too heavily because the subject becomes too dark relative to the background. And in our situation, we couldn't control the background really. That was just sea and land and sky just out onto the harbour. It actually worked out pretty well, and we get a very dramatic frame which plays into the narrative of what they're doing. After we'd done that, broke all the kit down, Rithika and myself went to rig the boat, and Ben went off with GH5 and a couple of lenses and just captured B-roll of the guys on the boat, filming what they would do, where they'd be sitting, all of their charts, and basically capturing all of the prep side of things so that we would have that to make our edit work when they were talking about what they were going to be doing, how they were going to be working together as a team, the situation they would be in for months on end in close quarters. So all of that was captured by Ben, and that worked really nicely. So Ben was a completely independent unit at that point doing the B-roll. We were rigging up the Blackarm onto a speedboat. Now this we have done before, and it's always a little bit of a challenge to get everything to fit sturdily into a boat without compromising the safety or just generally getting in the way of the functionality of the machine. So we rigged onto several points around the boat to make sure we had a really solid base, and then we brought the Blackarm on, connected that all up to the Ronin and balanced up the URSA onto that, set our lenses, got our follow focus prepped. I guess all in all it took about an hour and a half to completely rig the boat. So once we had that all set, we built ourselves a little shelter with a couple of flags so that we could monitor what we were doing without having loads of reflections and distractions. So we clamped another speed rail onto the seats and then mounted our monitors and positioned our remotes so that we would be able to do everything that we needed to do and still have good, clear line of vision to the monitors and not interfere with the running of the boat. One of the biggest challenges was creating mood and drama in this shoot. We didn't want to just film the guys going along nice and calmly. We wanted to create something which felt a little bit more like what they will have experienced out in the Atlantic when they're rowing across. So it's big waves, it's water splashing. To do this, we first of all had to get out the harbour. That required quite a lot of just travel, so we do have a lot of really nice calm shots of them just gently rowing out. Then once we got out into the open water, we sent up the drone, and Ben did a sterling job of taking off and landing from our rib, and that gave us just the wide expanse shots to show the loneliness, just a single boat, single point in the water. With the sun a little bit lower in the sky, they were at the end of their journey, so we weren't interfering with their training. They were able to take it a little bit easier then. We took a bit of time. We got our speedboat to run donuts around their boat, and as we're doing that, it's creating not huge waves, but waves big enough to rock them from side to side and get some splashing and some movement. Now, we were on a 100mm Schneider lens, and some of the shots that we were getting were actually at 120 frames a second on the URSA Mini Pro, so we cropped in even further. So it's a very tight, long lens shot. So we get a lot of parallax, which helps to add to the drama, everything whipping by. It's really quite hard when you're doing donuts in a boat at high speed, and we were going basically full throttle around them, to lock everything in, get your focus. That was Rathika's job, getting focus, and then keep everything honed in on your subject so that they are in the frame and you're capturing things in a nice way with the background whipping away. So we're speeding around them, getting those shots, and then we can tilt down a little bit on the Ronin and make sure we get some of the branding on the boat with the water splashing against the side of it. If we didn't have that and we just had nice steady tracking shots of them, it would all feel a lot more placid. So that was a really important element for me, and with the sunlight and the water, it really added to the feel of the piece. For this, we were actually shooting on the URSA Mini Pro with Blackmagic RAW, and that allowed us to, one, have a little bit of flexibility in post because we are shooting RAW, and two, because it is the Blackmagic RAW rather than Cinema DNG that we had been using prior to this, we had enough card space to not worry about it, and we were able to just keep rolling most of the time. Had we been doing it with Cinema DNG, it would have been much harder for us to capture this and make sure that we did get the shots, because we would have had maybe 25 minutes of runtime, which is nothing when you're working on a project like this. Just want to say massive congratulations to the Grandads of the Atlantic. They've done a phenomenal job across the Atlantic in a rowing boat, which is just insane, and they've done it in a really good time as well. If you're interested in what they've been doing, they've been running a charity campaign for this, and the charities are all really worthy. So they're great guys. They've been working phenomenally hard to promote this. I'll stick a link down below, and if you're interested in supporting them, just follow that and leave some cash, because it's all for a good cause.